Right now on the National Weather Desk, a winter storm hits the Pacific Northwest. Longtime residents know what could happen if too much snow falls.
I've been stranded up here as long as 7 days at a time.
Human-triggered avalanches pose a life and death risk to skiers in the Montana mountains.
The only way you're going to survive is if you have a partner to come get you.
We have some tips for homeowners who are plagued by icicles hanging off their home's roof.
Try and remove any sort of piles of snow that have built up near your building's foundation. That way, as melting happens, you don't get basement flooding concerns.
Identifying the nation's heat islands, it's a project that hopes to improve the health of many Americans.
Some groups definitely face a greater risk of heat-related illnesses than others.
And a unique look at how much snow fell during Buffalo's lake effect storm.
If you would have tried to walk out your front door in the Buffalo area, you would have been greeted with a wall of snow.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Big news this morning out of Italy. An unusually heavy amount of rain triggered massive and deadly landslide on the Italian island of Ischia. Nearly 5 inches of rain fell in 6 hours. Officials there say it was the heaviest rain in 2 decades. Search and rescue operations continue for victims. At least 8 people have been rescued. More than 200 people have been evacuated from the area. But sadly, at least 7 people were killed, including a 3-week-old baby. The search is still on for others who went missing during the landslide. And on Saturday, a tornado touched down in Louisiana, about 30 miles just southwest of New Orleans. And while there were some downed trees and property damage, no one was killed or seriously injured. The National Weather Service says the twister was an EF1, 200 yards wide and packing winds of 100 miles per hour. There is a risk for severe thunderstorms and tornadoes across portions of the South tomorrow, including Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And in the Pacific Northwest, a winter storm warning continues through this morning. Heavy snow is falling in the Cascade Mountains. Snow was also falling over the weekend, causing some problems for folks trying to drive through some of the mountain passes. Let's head now to the pass where Seattle reporter Mo Hader caught up with drivers who were dealing with the challenging commute.
From dealing with rain, then snow, it was a tough commute for many drivers going through Snoqualmie Pass.
I had to drive with caution, make sure I'm not going to take a turn and break loose.
While there were some issues on the road, others say it was worth leaving early, and the Herta storm was on its way.
When I learned about the snowstorm coming in, I decided it'd be better to get through it earlier in the evening.
I wasn't planning on driving during that time, to be completely honest. That's why I'm trying to get over there earlier than later.
WashDOT officials say they have 30 snowplows out from Snoqualmie Pass to Ellensburg. They're advising people to be ready for tough conditions.
As the storm moves in, drivers need to realize that it's not going to be bare and wet conditions because, again, we're dealing with several inches up to a foot of snow. So drivers definitely need to be cautious and prepare to drive in compact snow and ice.
Some who are used to driving through snow say it comes with other challenges.
You got to watch out for the other guy and be really cautious of the other drivers on the road, as you're going.
Now, the heavy snow isn't only an issue for drivers. People living near the pass are also getting ready.
We're actually set up for long time closures. I've been stranded up here as long as 7 days at a time.
Montana has also seen a lot of early season snowfall this year, and that's causing a problem. Avalanches triggered by backcountry skiers. Let's head to Bozeman, Montana, where Jonathan May has more.
This image is the aftermath of an avalanche in the Bridger Mountains north of Bozeman on Thursday. A skier triggered the slide, and the avalanche carried them roughly 45 yards downhill.
People are getting out. They're getting out backcountry skiing and snowmobiling right now. And we've heard of some human-triggered avalanches that are happening.
The skier had a partner watching their back and escaped with no injuries.
Even a small avalanche, a very small avalanche, if you're buried, either completely buried or you're buried upside down where your head and arms are in the snow, you can't get up. You can't get out. And the only way you're going to survive is if you have a partner to come get you.
New snow and wind are combining to create instabilities on slopes. Another pair of skiers witnessed what appeared to be another human-triggered avalanche, also in the Bridgers on Thanksgiving. Nobody was caught or injured.
As you're getting out, it's a good idea to treat it as though it's midwinter.
Right now, forecasters say the primary concern is triggering avalanches in the recent drifts of snow, advising caution when skiing across steep slopes.
A lot of snow out there, and people are kind of hitting it and getting after it, which we like to see, but you want to be safe.
Chabot says those venturing should carry a beacon, rescue gear, and shovel. Also, brush up on current snow conditions and make sure you and your partner can handle backcountry terrain.
You only want to bite off what you can chew.
While some dealt with twisters and snow, folks in Wisconsin had unseasonably warm weather, and some got out to soak up the warmth. If you're from the warmer part of the United States, as you watch this, just remember that pleasant is relative. Let's go to Green Bay, Wisconsin, where Lydia Anderson has more.
Tim DeBeck took advantage of the nice weather to set up his Christmas decorations.
It's nice out today to do this. Usually I'm going deer hunting, but I got a deer, so I can do this.
DeBeck hand-carved and painted each piece in the display. He says it takes him about 8 hours to set it all up, so he was grateful for Saturday's weather.
No, I'm usually cold, because I usually set it up the week after deer hunting.
There are around 70 pieces to the display. The DeBeck family has had this tradition for 20 years and regularly receives letters from people in the community showing their support.
Well, we're going to be putting up all this gingerbread village. I'm making a hill here and making a snow hill and stuff, and then I got Santa and all that was going to put on the back fence. So
families used Saturday sunshine as an opportunity to pick up their Christmas trees from the Whispering Pines lot into Pier.
It's usually pretty cold when we come to get a Christmas tree, so this is kind of nice. I kind of wish it was snowing.
Zola Cambandu-Shills says although she likes the warm weather, it's a bit harder to get in the Christmas spirit.
I definitely do prefer snow to get in the Christmas spirit. Like, I feel like once it starts snowing, that's when I'm like, oh, I gotta watch Christmas movies, I need the hot chocolate.
It's not every day that people in northeast Wisconsin are able to go sledding and ice skating in nearly 50-degree weather for the last weekend in November.
Well, it's 50 degrees out. It's like a heat wave for us, so we decided to spend the day outside, come here skating for the first time ever.
Titletown saw a busy day Saturday with many taking in what could be the last warm day of the season.
You have to take advantage of it, you guys. You got to get off the couch and get outside.
And I'd be loving it. 10 days ago, the Buffalo region was grappling with an onslaught of lake effect snow. Orchard Park, where the Buffalo Bills play, got about 80 inches of snowfall. Meteorologist Phil DeCastro, who works in Green Bay, Wisconsin, tries to put it all in perspective.
Let's start here. 6 feet 9 inches. I'm 6'3". I would have been buried head to toe with 6 inches to spare. Well, what about just walking out your front door? Well, I don't think so. These are the front doors of Fox 11. If you would have tried to walk out your front door in the Buffalo area, yeah, you would have been greeted with a wall of snow. I don't think that's happening. Thinking about trying to drive somewhere? Yeah, not until that heavy equipment can come through and try to clear the streets. Even the Fox 11 Storm Chaser would have been buried to over the roof line. Maybe you get a wind reading. That's probably about it. How about practicing your Lambo leap? Well, unless you're going to be dropping in from a ladder, I don't think you're going to be too successful on this one. In fact, even the Packers players themselves, if they would have tried a Lambo leap after this snowfall, wouldn't have been able to do it. That's because the walls in there only average about 6 feet tall. Not going to cut it.
So no matter how you measure it, this most recent snowstorm isn't one that the residents of Western New York will be forgetting anytime soon.
The Thanksgiving holiday is over, but we wanted you to have one last look at some turkeys. These are a flock of wild turkeys that were spotted in Mills River, North Carolina. Wild turkeys typically live in mature forests, but you may see them along roads and woodsy backyards. After being hunted out in large parts of their range, turkeys were reintroduced and are now numerous once again. And if you are curious, wild turkeys taste different than the domestic turkeys that people traditionally eat on Thanksgiving.